Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the JBDC's virtual biz zone for Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. My name is Sansia Campbell, and I am your host for this morning. Now, this morning, we have with us Ms. Rogerlene Milwood, and if you were here in the last session, which was early last month, I believe, where we spoke about becoming tax compliant, particularly due to the fact that the tax season is coming up on the 15th of March, and we promised that we would bring her back just to give you some final tips to prepare for March 15th. And so she's here with us this morning, and she has a wealth of information to share with you to help you to be ready when March 15 comes. I want you to make her welcome, interact with us in the chat, ask as many questions as you want. We will be here for the next 2 hours. Hopefully it won't go beyond that because I expect that this morning will be a particularly interesting morning because you will have so many questions for us. So I'm going to hand over to Rogerlene and ask her to just jump into her presentation. Remember, you can always drop a question in the chat or raise your hand if you have a question. So it's over to you, Rogerlene.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting TAJ again to this another session. We are happy to be a part of a session like this, and it really gives us hope to know that, well, persons are really interested in being tax compliant and just basically want to know how or what they can do to really get their tax filing up to date. So as Ms. Campbell had stated, that this is basically a follow-up from what we did in January. What I'm going to do is, for the sake of those persons who weren't able to log on in January, I'm just going to quickly go through the presentation that we did in January. I want you to jot down your questions because I want to answer as many questions as possible this morning. As Ms. Campbell stated as well, that the tax season is just right around the corner, March 15. So we have approximately 13 days to go, and we don't want nobody to be left behind. So I'm just going to quickly share the presentation that we did, and we can move forward from there. All right, thank you for your patience, participants. So this presentation, as was shared the last time, is intended to provide you with basic tax information when operating your business. All entrepreneurs should know their tax responsibilities, rights, and obligations. All right, so what is our tax system in Jamaica? We have a self-assessment tax system which gives the taxpayers you greater control and responsibility over your tax affairs. So what does this mean? This means that we don't stipulate and tell you how much you need to pay. Yes, there are percentages that that comes into play, but it's really based on your recording, what's your income, what are your expenses like, and then is based on that information that you declare on the tax form that you know how much to pay. So we don't necessarily stipulate and say, well, okay, you need to pay this amount as what we had before. We had something that we call minimum business tax. However, that law or that legislation was repealed in 2018, where persons, once they're operating a business over a 2-year period, they would need to pay a flat amount of $60,000. No, we don't have that system in place anymore. So you basically declare your income to us, and then from that declaration, whether you have a profit, you pay a percentage of that profit. If there's a loss, then you have nothing to pay. All right, so the benefits of taxation, a lot of persons will say, especially in recent times, that okay, we're not seeing where our tax dollars is going, and we don't see why we need to pay taxes. However, if we can just zoom into some of it's taxation is wide, the benefits are wide, but we can zoom into 4 specific areas that you can see where your tax dollars are going. 1, education. 2, healthcare. 3, infrastructure. And 4, security. And as I tell you that these are just the basic benefits, but taxation is wider than this. And it is really important for us to pay our taxes because that's exactly how the country is going to operate. Otherwise, it's going to pop down. Now, we don't want that. All right. All right. So why should you, what should you know as an entrepreneur, as a business operator? You need to know about what applies to you in terms of taxes and fees. You need to know about tax compliance. You need to know about record keeping, and you need to know your rights and obligations as a taxpayer. So as a self-employed individuals, and we're talking about these persons now who are operating a sole trader business, meaning you go to company's office, you register a business name, we call it a sole trader or sole proprietorship, or persons who are operating a partnership. These rates applies to you. So your NIS amount is the 5.875% that is for 2020, because this year, 2021, it has increased to 6% of your net income. NHT is 3% of your income. Education tax is 2.25% of your income, less the NIS that you'd have paid previously. And we get into that or delve into that. So remember to jot down your questions as well as we go on. Income tax is 25% of your income or your profit. And the 25% applies to an amount up to $4,999,999. 30% is applied to any amount above that. So from 5 million upward of your net profit or your net income, you would pay 30% income tax. All right, so these persons, the self-employed persons, you are required or you're mandated by law to do a tax return that we call SO4 and SO4A. This return is due on or before March 15 each year, and it captures information for the calendar year. The one form calculates income tax, NIS, and NHT. So it's like a one-stop form. You complete the one form on the Jamaica tax website, submit your information, and you choose to pay whether online using a credit card or a Visa debit card, or you can choose to come in office and pay. So it means that you don't need to go to NIS, make your payment there. You don't need to go to NHT and make your payment there. We have a one-stop shop for that. For companies now, we're talking about limited liability companies. Their form is called an ITO2 or a CIT tax return form. And the percentage of your income that is applied to non-regulatory companies is 25%. And when we say non-regulatory companies, we're talking about those companies who they are not registered with either Office of Utilities Regulation, Bank of Jamaica, Ministry of Finance. So in other words, they are non-financial companies. For financial companies now, they pay 30% of their income, and we call those companies regulated companies. For a partnership, they do a ITO3 or a PIT tax return form. And basically, when you're doing a partnership income tax return, you don't necessarily pay any taxes on your income, because the analogy behind that is you, at the end of the year, the profit is split between partners or amongst partners. And then the partners in turn do their SO4 and pay their taxes from their share of partnership income. All right, so what you need to do, the fees that applies to operating a business, we have what we call trade and business license. This is a fee that is regulated or collected for the parish council, but it is collected by the tax office. And it is applicable for those businesses that is carrying on a trade, meaning buying and selling, even if you are doing things online and you have an establishment and you have a business name set up, you need to do your trade and business license. And this is normally due April 1st of each year. The payroll taxes applies to those businesses who will be undertaking employees for a contract of service, meaning that the employees will be monitored, the employees certain provision will be given to them with a uniform or their tools for working. If you have employees such as this, we ask that you take or withhold the necessary payroll taxes and paid over monthly on a form that we call a SO1 form. And at the end of the year, the payroll annual return that is done on the SO2 form, we ask that you do that so we can capture the employee's information, and also that information can be shared with NIS and the NHT offices as well. Therefore, when these persons go into NHT or NIS to claim their benefits, they have that information there.
All right, so there's a question in the chat from Sadiki. Does the business license apply to sole traders?
All right, thank you, Sadiki, for that question. Yes, the trade and business license applies to sole traders. And as I have said before, once you're in a business of buying and selling, trading, then yes, you are liable to pay trade and business license.
All right, look at that question from Rogerlene as well. If you get a salary from the company, does the company... If you get a salary from the company, does the company have to do a payroll tax?
All right, thank you, Rochelle, for that question. All right, so the question is, if you get a salary from the company, if the company is liable to pay over or withhold payroll taxes from that salary. All right, the first thing that we need to look on is when you are going into a contract with that company, what did the contract state? So the company can say, okay, we are employing you. However, we're employing you on a contractual basis where we pay you a set amount per month or whether fortnight or weekly. And then you are required to pay over your own taxes and contribution. So that could be one way of setting the contract, or another way is that the company could say, well, we will be paying you a set amount, whether weekly, fortnightly, or monthly, and we withhold the taxes from you and you pay over this amount. And we pay over this amount per month for you. So it's either. So if it's a case where you are working somewhere now, they are paying you, you don't get a pay slip, you don't know if any taxes or contributions are being withheld from your salary, it is really in your best interest to find out from your employer if it's the case where they're not taking the taxes from you, or if it's a case where you need to pay it over yourself. If it's a case where they say, yes, you're responsible to pay it over yourself, then we automatically put you in that category of being self-employed, and hence you'd be required to do the income tax self-employed form SO4. So let me know if that's cleared that up for you. All right, so no more questions, so we can just quickly go on. And as we go through the presentation, remember to jot down your questions, type it in the chat, and we can just address it right away. All right, the general consumption tax is, all right, I see someone raising their hand. Right, let me know when you're ready. All right, so the GCT, general consumption tax, is applicable to those businesses that is operating a GCT taxable activity. And once you're in a GCT taxable activity and your actual sales or your actual income has passed 10 million for the year or 833,000 for the month, then we ask such persons to come in physically at the office, complete a Form 1, and be registered for GCT. All right, so Sadiki, you may go ahead with your question.
Okay, good morning, thank you. I had a question in relation to the payroll taxes. If I'm a sole trader, if I hire staff, like any form of workers and all, do I have to pay over payroll taxes on their behalf also?
All right, thank you for that question, Sadiki. All right, so you hire staff, but what is the arrangement that you have with them? Is it a case where you have them on, they're not temporary, they're permanent, you provide the tools for them to work, there's some form of supervision whilst working, and they are not left up to, what should I say? They are not left up to operate on their own. Because if that's the case, then yes, they are in a contract of service type of employment, and you should, or the onus is on you, the employee, to do the necessary payroll taxes and pay it over monthly. However, on the other hand, if it's a case where you're saying, okay, they're in a contract for a service type of employment, where there's limited supervision, and they provide their own tools for working or carrying out their job function, then they are responsible to pay over their taxes. However, you'd have to communicate this to them in the contract that they sign, the employment contract that they sign. So let me know if what is the case where you're concerned.
Okay. Okay, so I actually the entertainment, and so I normally have teams. Pre-COVID, I normally have teams that I used to the events and stuff like that. And so yeah, long-term employment, I pretty much provide everything because I normally rent tables, chairs, all of that stuff there on mine. So I normally hire people and have supervisors, I have team leaders, stuff like that. And so that is my situation. They don't bring any tools, but I do rely on them. I have supervisors, like I said, but they're pretty much work for hire.
All right, thank you for that again. All right, so I kind of understand what you're saying, but if it's a case where, because you say you're in the entertainment industry, and the nature I'm thinking is that you would employ them on a job by job basis. So if that's the case, because I don't think that they would work straight through the month, is it a case where you call them into work when there is a function, so to speak? If that's the case, then it's not necessarily permanent. So in that case, they could be responsible for their own taxes. However, if you know that based on the industry that you're in, these persons are needed every single month, and you pay a set amount to them every single month, then yes, you need to take the payroll taxes from them. So you'd have to sit and analyze your situation then, so to speak. But if it's a case where they get paid based on the job that they do, then the onus is on you to encourage them or to let them know that, well, okay, we're paying you this amount per job. At the end of the year, you need to do your own taxes. It's in your best interest to do that. All right, sir?
All right, Chandris, we see your question and we're gonna go ahead and respond to it. So Chandris Foster is asking, income tax is 25 to 30%. What is that going towards? How are we benefiting? Where's that tax going? I think you responded to that at the start of the presentation to indicate exactly what our taxes do. All right, so you can go ahead and just maybe she wasn't here at the time, so you can just go ahead and tell her what our taxes.
All right, thank you for that question, Ms. Foster. All right, so I'll just quickly share my screen again, the benefits of taxation. Income tax is really the biggest amount of taxes that you'd have to pay. However, we do factor in the income tax threshold, that is $1.5 million. So if your net income or your net profit falls below that amount, we're talking, it's in relation to self-employed persons now, that is sole traders or sole proprietors, you benefit also from the income tax threshold of 1.5 billion. So once your profit or your net income is below that, you don't pay any income tax. However, if it's above that, you pay the income tax. And what this income tax is used for, as you can see on my screen, it goes in the education system, healthcare, infrastructure, security, and also just the basic day-to-day running of the country, basically. So I hope that's kind of clear you up a bit, Ms. Foster.
All right, thank you again thank you for answering that question, Rogerlene. As I said, the chat room has taken on a life of its own, and so there are several questions in here. Jennifer Jones is asking, if you manufacture and sell to retailers and end users, do you need a trade license?
All right, thank you for that question as well. So you manufacture and sell to end users, yes, you do. Once you have an establishment and you have a sign on your establishment with your business name, yes, you're in the business of buying and selling, and yes, you need a trade and business license.
Okay, from Danica White, what if you work a 9 to 5 and pay PAYE? What does that mean for you? If you make less than 1.5 million in the business, do you still pay taxes?
Very important question. I love that question. All right, so she's asking if you do have your 9 to 5, you pay PAYE or income tax from your salary. However, you have business income separately. If you need to pay income tax from that business income, yes, you do. And the thing about this is, and a lot of persons say it is unfair. However, if you really look at it, it's not. You only can benefit from the income tax threshold once per year. So if you pay income tax from your salary and, for example, your net profit from your business is about $30,000, you need to pay 25% of that straight for income tax, because you only can benefit from the income tax threshold once.
Okay, please repeat the income ceiling above which a business is required to pay GCT.
All right, so the income ceiling, and we said is the actual income. It's a 10 million for the year or 833,000 for the month. So once your business is operating with that set amount, and I'd like to stress on actual. sales or actual income, because these are the amounts that the business intake before you actually take out your expenses or purchases or your overheads. So the actual sales, actual income must be at 833,000 for the month or 10 million for the year.
Let me ask a follow-up question to that. So let's say, for example, the company makes $1 million a month. Is it that you have to take off your 25% off the top? We're talking about if somebody is working a 9 to 5 and they have a little business and they make $1 million a month. So, so you have to pay the taxes on that $1 million. I just want to understand, is it that you have to ensure that the taxes is paid before all of your other expenses? It's just a question popping into my head and I want to.
All right, thank you, Ms. Campbell, for that question. So normally when the business operator, the entrepreneur, the self-employed person, normally when you are doing your income tax return, we do ask for a income statement or income and expenditure statement or financial statement, any one of those terms we use. So normally these statements capture your income, that is your business income or business sales, and it also captures your purchases and your expenses, business expenses. So your purchases and your expenses, we less from your sales or your actual income to ascertain your net profit. So it therefore means that the income tax is paid from your profit and not actually from your net income or gross income, I should say, gross income, yes. So your expenses are used to offset your gross profit. Hence, you end up paying less taxes.
All right, so what you say, if I make the $1 million and I have to pay out 500,000 in expenses, I only pay income tax on the balance, 500.
Yes, because that would be your profit. So your 500,000 remaining will be your profit. So 500,000, if you know that you are on payroll and you're paying your PAY or income tax from your salary, then yes, you'd pay 25% of the 500,000 for income tax.
But you still have to ensure that you submit your income statement, income and expenditure statement, so that the authorities are aware of, what you make per month and all of that.
Yes, it is really important that you submit your income and expenditure statement. Because we have a self-assessment system, it is basically what you have captured from your recordings for the year, right? Mark, anybody can put on anything on the income statement, but there will come a time when a tax auditor will pick up your information and ask, okay, we have seen where you have stated this amount on your income and expenditure statement, we need to see proof. So it is very important.
All right, fabulous explanation. This question that is coming up now is a question that I've always heard, and I'm very happy that you are here to deal with it this morning. Tinashe is asking, when you are dealing with a client who is charging GCT and they have not provided their TCC, is the business obligated to pay the supplier inclusive of GCT?
Thank you, Tinashe, for that lovely question. All right, so for the sake of those persons who may not be aware of what a TCC is a tax compliance certificate. And who needs a TCC? Basically, everyone who is operating a business who might be importing items or even exporting and want to open up a business bank account, or even basically just vying for a government contract or any contract at all that these stakeholders will request a TCC from. That's basically what it is. So if you're in a business and your supplier is charging you GCT, that is general consumption tax, and they have not provided you with a TCC, it's really it's really not mandatory, only if you ask them that, okay, we are doing business with you and we need to see that, well, you are tax compliant. Can you provide us, let us see your tax compliance certificates? Then and only then these persons will need now to bring forward your TCC and show you. But otherwise, it is not mandatory for you to see a TCC. What is mandatory, however, is if you're doing business with them and they are charging you GCT and you don't see their GCT certificate, that is a problem there. So most times I tell persons that whenever you're going to do business at any establishment, even a supermarket, a simple, maybe a car mart, just anywhere you're going and they're charging GCT, you should be seeing that GCT certificate hanging on that wall. And if you don't set GCT certificate, you should ask them about it. Because once their invoice has a line item that says 15% GCT, they should show some proof that they are registered for charging GCT. If they are not registered for GCT and they're charging, that is a felony. And they can get big problems for that.
All right, question from S. Green. What if the business is fairly new, meaning no form of sales is made as yet, and just registered with COJ? Should this business pay tax too?
Lovely question. All right. So when we say recently registered, I would love to know, like, for which year we're talking about. So for example, you registered your business last year in COVID time, or even before, or even latter part of last year, you would be liable to do your first filing for 2020. There is no operation, there is no sales, no purchases, no operation, no transaction at all. I just like to break down that so persons can know exactly what we're talking about. Yes, you are still liable to file your income tax return. And if it's a sole trader, we're talking about the SO4 form. If it's a partnership, we're talking about the ITO3 form. What do I mean by you're still registered to file? It means that you are liable based on the Income Tax Act that states that you're liable to file these returns whether or not there is income or not. All you do is you do a zero return, and we ask that you write a letter to state the reason why you're filing zero or nil. So you put on there that there was no operation taking place for that particular tax year, and you upload the information when you're doing your filing. Hence, you do it on time by March 15, so you're still tax compliant, you have nothing to pay, and also no penalties reach you. So yes, you still need to file.
What if they don't file?
All right, so if they don't file, the sad thing to this is we really don't have enough officers to really go after everybody that has registered a company and they don't file. Normally, how we get such persons is when you come in for a TCC, or even when we have programs running and we really reach out to such persons, because rightfully there are 85 persons on this platform, but I'm telling you that there's hundreds of other persons who just register a business name, a company's office, but they really don't know what they should do afterwards. They don't actually come in office and get the information. So a lot of persons, it's not that you don't want to file, but you really don't know what to do. So we can't necessarily be hard and fast with you, because what we realize over the years is if you come in now and you register a business whether 5 years ago, we really can't tell you that, okay, there's no operation, but you still need to file 5 years worth of zero returns, and we have all these penalties coming up on the system where you can't pay. So there's some leniency to that aspect of it, but going forward now, if you know that, well, you have registered your business last year, there's no operation taking place, what I'll encourage you to do is just quickly go on the Jamaica Tax website, create your online account, do your tax filing. It would be zero, it would be on time, and it would be in your best interest.
Would a car rental company require a trade and business license?
Car rental is no. Car rental would not fall under that category. However, if there's an extension to your business, for example, you sell parts and accessories, or even venture into selling cars, if it's even used cars, then yes, you need to register and pay your trade and business license.
Wow, wow. All right, let me take this question. This question is from Jennifer Jones. How do you treat grant funds for capital investment in relation to a non-profit/charitable organization registered as a limited liability, if at the end of the year, part of the funds remain unspent because the project is incomplete? You get that? All right, let me try again. So all right, so I'm gonna break it down. She got some grant funds for her charitable organization, which she registered as a limited liability. The year is now coming to an end. We're coming to March 31, 2021, and the funds are not yet finished because we had COVID last year. We couldn't finish the work that we were doing. How do you treat with that in terms of filing?
All right, thank you for that question. Two important points I need to point out. So you said that you receive grant for him. Well, that's basically the income coming into the company. It's a charitable organization. However, it is not registered as a charitable organization, but a limited company.
All right, Jennifer, I'm gonna ask you to just raise your hand and let me allow you to speak, because the question is kind of a bit complicated. Here she goes. Can you hear Jennifer?
Yes, I'm hearing. Good morning. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Ms. Jones, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a citizens association. It's registered as a limited liability under the charitable and non-profit category. So you can select that when you register at register.
All right, so in other words, okay, but you have not gone to the departments of cooperative and friendly societies and register as a charitable organization. No. So you are a limited company then, because there is a big difference. You can be registered as a limited company, and normally that's how you do it first. You register as a limited company, a company's office, and then you proceed now to the departments of cooperative and friendly societies to get your charitable status, which has a lot of benefits. You have not done that, right? So you now need to do the ITO2 for 2020, which is the limited company income tax return. And yes, you need to state all your business activity on that form. So the income on your financial statement would be basically the grant that you would have received.
Okay. So we have to pay taxes on the unspent amount?
Yes, yes. Yes, so it is important. Let me just encourage you right now, Ms. Jones, as soon as possible, you need to visit the departments of cooperative and friendly societies and get your charitable status so we can change it from our side. Because when you do that charitable income tax return, you don't pay anything. No matter how much money you have leave, it's even $30 billion. It is for charity, you'd pay no taxes on that.
Can get a waiver.
All right.
Because we don't have any money.
You don't get waivers on taxes. What we grant is waivers on penalties and interest for late charges, but not on taxes.
Jesus. Okay, thank you. You leave me with a headache.
You're most welcome. No, not at all. You can always come in and speak to a compliance officer. There's always arrangements to be made. All right.
All right. Is there a tax threshold for a company? Did you address that already?
Lovely question. So no, there is no threshold for a company. Whatever your profit is, if it's even $20,000, $10,000, then yes, you are charged 25% if it's an unregulated company and 30% if it's a regulated company. So the income tax threshold or the ceiling only applies to individuals working, individuals that have a registered business name, sole traders or sole proprietors.
How does the tax administration manage to capture unregulated businesses in to make them tax compliant, let them pay them taxes?
All right, so one of the ways that we have different methods of getting persons in the tax net and also getting them up to being tax compliant. So one way is through tax education. So we have seminars. Well, because of COVID, we kind of decreased that type of service that we do. But yes, we have an extensive taxpayer education program and inclusive of one-on-one sessions. We go out to persons, we have seminars. We also have what we call, all right, we have certain information that we get, kind of sensitive. I really cannot disclose certain things, but we have a data mining unit that we get information. The company's office feed us information and we try and get in contact with such persons. And I've stated before that it's not that some persons really don't want to be a part of the tax net, or some persons really don't want to be tax compliant, but they really don't know. So we try and get as much, reach out to these persons as much as possible. And one other very important aspect is when you apply for a tax compliance certificate, because all businesses really, once you're in Jamaica, you're operating, you need a tax compliance certificate. So that's one very important way that we get persons to be tax compliant.
Which costs qualify or are recognized as business purchases and expenses?
All right, and this is very wide, but business purchases is any purchase that you make that is in relation to the business. And so for example, I have a farming business and I have to purchase seeds, I have to purchase fertilizers, I have to purchase the tools. Those things like that are called business purchases. Business expenses, any expenses relating to the operation of the business. So for example, utilities, salary for staff or wages. You have a vehicle registered in the business name, the motor vehicle expenses would be an expense for the business as well. So it is very wide, but anything that directly impacts the business, any money that you have to pay out that directly impacts the business, those are what we classify as business purchases.
All right, very interesting question here from Marcia McKay. If I have a company collecting salary from the company, doing payroll for employees, meaning I'm paying my percentage plus my employees' percentage for NIS, NHT, education tax, do I still need to file a self-employed returns differently?
All right, so let me just ask, is it a limited company that you are a director of, or we're talking about a sole trader business?
All right, Marcia, so just stick up your hand and let us get that information from you right there so that we can respond to that question. Oh, you got it?
All right, beautiful, a limited company. So you are a director of the limited company. You have your staff. You are a part of the staff as well. You pass yourself through the payroll. All right. The Income Tax Act states that directors are liable to file their individual income tax return only based on the fact that they might be getting a director's fee at the end of the year. Now, listen carefully. If it's a case where you're a director of the company and you are passed through the payroll, you do not get any additional income from the company, then the only thing that you're required to file is the income tax PAYE form. That is what we call an ITO5. This form is also used for persons who are applying for an income tax refund or pensioners. So if it's a case where you know at the end of the year, you're still gonna get a fee, what we call a director's fee or non-executive director's fee from the company in addition to your salary, then you need to declare the additional income and pay over the additional taxes and contributions from the SO4 form, that is a self-employed form. However, if you know that now you're a director and the only income that you receive from this company is your salary, then you only need to file the income tax form that is for PAYE pensioners. So I hope that cleared that up a bit. If you have another question following up to this, raise your hand and then know we unmute you and then know you can tell us directly.
All right, Anna K is asking what I think is a pertinent question, especially because of the times that we're operating in. I newly registered my online business. I'm a sole trader. How do I pay tax? The TRN assigned is currently my personal TRN. So she wants to know, how does she pay tax on her online business?
All right, thank you, Anna K, for that question. So when you go to company's office and you register your business name, because you are classified as a sole trader or a sole proprietor, you use your name trading as the business name that you'd have registered, and also they would use your personal TRN, and if you look on your certificate, you would see /000 and a number at the end of that. So that /000 with the ending number represents your business information. So whether you are operating online or you have a physical space, you are liable to pay your taxes. And as I said before, I'm not sure maybe you came in late, but you are required to declare your income, your expenses for an entire calendar year, or within that year that you would have registered your business on the income tax self-employed form that we call the SO4. Once you place your income on the form, the system does the calculations for you based on your net profit. You'll know how much to pay for NHT, for NIS, for education tax, and also for income tax if applicable. If you registered within a year and you did no trading, you're still required to do this tax form and you put 0 on there, you're not liable to pay anything. However, you are in good standing with the tax authority in filing your taxes on time.
All right, Sitarina Atkins wants to know, are farming businesses exempt from paying taxes?
Beautiful question. So farming activity is a GCT exempt activity. but is not exempt from anything else. So it means that you would not charge your customers GCT on your produce, because remember, nobody goes to the market or supermarkets and pay taxes on your produce or any produce that you sell. However, because you are in a business, you are responsible to declare your income, your expenses from that business. And if you have a profit, then yes, you'd pay the other taxes and contributions, which is income tax, education tax, NIS, and NHT.
All right, I see Anna Kay has her hand up, and I'm going to unmute you, Anna Kay. I'm assuming it's a follow-up to the question that we just responded to for you. Go ahead, Anna Kay.
All right, good morning. Just a question in regards to what you stated on the registration that I got. You said that normally beside the TRN, it says /00 or 3 zeros. Is that correct?
Correct, and then there is a number at the end of it.
All right, so mine says /1.
Good. That's no problem. That's fine.
Okay.
So the one represents your business name.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the NIS and the TRN number, which is mine /1, when I'm using you said use the SO4 form to do this, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
All right. Thank you. And this is after a year.
All right, but after a year. So quickly though, the NIS number that is on your certificate, that is not your personal NIS. That NIS number, right. So you know that NIS number is directly relating to when you get staff and you're paying over their contributions, you'd use that NIS number for them.
Okay, all righty.
All right, okay.
All right, thank you.
You're most welcome.
All right, so with regards to withholding tax on investment, is it possible to get a tax refund if the individual is below the tax threshold? With regards to withholding tax on investment, is it possible to get a tax refund if the individual is below the tax threshold?
No, unfortunately, because tax on the investment is a part of, or it is stated in the income tax legislation that you would pay 15% of that, or whatever applicable investment you are in, you need to pay taxes from that. The only persons that do qualify for refund from these taxes are persons who are above the pensionable age, that is 65 for females and 70 for males. Because they are above that age, they can apply for refund. Once they have an investment going on, they can apply for refund of these taxes that was withheld from their investment.
All right, Amanda is asking if you provide boarding for students where you provide furniture and appliances, do you need to register it as a business, and can you deduct those, I guess, the furniture and appliance as business expenses?
All right, thank you, Amanda, for that question. So if your income, we look on it as a rental income. So if your main source of income is rental income, then not necessarily, you don't have to get it registered. However, you are liable to declare that source of income on the self-employed form. And yes, we do have a line item on the self-employed form where we have a rental income expenses that you capture on there. So when you're ready to do your SO4 and you look on that form, you will see two slots. You will see gross rental income received and rental expenses. So you put your expenses, summarize it under that information. Hence, you less your rental income and you'll have less taxes and contributions to pay.
In terms of Tinashe Shirumi, I don't want to mess up your name. In terms of increasing GCT compliance, what was done in my country was to introduce, okay, so I'm assuming Tinashe is not from Jamaica, was to introduce fiscal devices which are attached to the point of sale and records real-time GCT each time an invoice is raised and there's an interface with the tax office. So whatever invoice is raised is known by the authorities, and this was a mandatory requirement for business. An increase in GCT collected was recognized during the first year of implementation. So I guess this is a suggestion, a recommendation that is being given to the tax administration.
All right, thank you, Tinashe. And I think that is a wonderful idea. And TAJ is always working to increase tax compliance. And definitely, I think this recommendation can really be utilized, because I can imagine that, you know, as once a transaction is done, then would get that information coming in. However, this would definitely have to be put in legislation, but the recommendation, I will definitely put forward that recommendation. I think it's a lovely idea, and going forward, you know, government is always trying to find ways that persons can really be tax compliant. So I think they will utilize that. Maybe not now, but further down, because we have to get the legislations up for that to protect businesses as well.
So thank you very much again, Tinashe, for that recommendation. Now, Kedisha Simmons is asking what I think is a very important question. If you used to pay taxes at a previous company and then started to work at another organization that does not take taxes from your salary, what steps should you take?
All right, thank you for that question, Kedisha. So you know you're in an employment situation where they are not taking the taxes from you, and hence you are responsible to pay over your own taxes and contributions. So you automatically fall within the self-employment category, and hence the self-employed income tax form that we I've discussed previously, you'd be liable to do with that form. So what you do is, so for example, your situation changed last year. And for some persons, they say, okay, I don't want to break my taxes or my contributions, so I want to pick up where I left off. Yes, you'd be required to do the 2020 SO4 form. So you would declare your two incomes from the two separate places. So you get a P24 or a P45 from your previous place of employment, and also you declare your income from where you started working up until the end of that particular year. And then the calculations will be done for you, and you will know what to pay going forward. And if you're doing this for 2020 as well, you need to do this by March 15.
Let's take this one from Chantel Shand. What changes have been made to the new income tax form I-202?
All right, awesome. So for those persons who are not familiar with the IT02, the IT02 is the income tax tax return form for limited liability companies. The recent changes, we add an incentive added on to the Income Tax Act that was passed through Parliament as well, that states that companies, and these are unregulated companies now, that has a net income or net profit that is 500 million or less, that they be granted a credit amount of $375,000 to offset their profit or their income, hence they will pay less income tax. So once you do your form and the system captures that your profit or your net income is 500 million or less, then it automatically applies this credit to your return and you'll end up paying less. So that's one of the changes. Some of the other, we had some minor changes as well, like your period that you're reporting on, and also some other changes as it relates to the Incentive Act, because as you know, some of the acts have been repealed. For example, the Free Zone Act, that is entirely off, and it is now the Special Economic Zone Act that is on now. So we did some minor changes to it. However, the major change has to do with that credit amount of $375,000 once your profit is below $500 million.
All right, fantastic. Can you tell me about asset taxes and how it is calculated? Does a bakery need to do asset taxes as well?
Lovely question. So asset tax, the act was not repealed. However, we updated the act in 2018. So asset tax is now applicable to regulated companies, or what we call financial companies, or companies that are registered with the Financial Services Commission, Offices of the Utilities Regulation, Ministry of Finance, and Bank of Jamaica. So unregulated companies are the other companies registered that don't fall under this category. So no, they are not liable to do asset tax anymore, including the bakery. And just one for information purposes, what is asset tax? Asset tax is tax levied on the value of your assets. Basically that.
You know what I'd love for you to do for me, Rogerlene, is to, I'm having a slight challenge with the terminology unregulated businesses. I don't know if it means illegally operating businesses. So I'd like you to clarify between unregulated and regulated businesses.
All right, thank you for that question, Ms. Campbell. All right, so when we talk about regulated or unregulated companies, we're talking about or directly relating to limited companies, not sole traders, not partnership. So when we say a company is unregulated, it means that they are not registered with, and there are 4 broad entities. 1, Ministry of Finance, Bank of Jamaica, Offices of the Utilities Regulation, and Financial Services Commission. So if you know that you registered a limited company and you are not registered with any one of these entities, you are not regulated. We call it unregulated. Oh, sorry, one very important one, the Jamaica Stock Exchange. So it's actually 5, I'm sorry. So it's 5 entities. So once you're not registered with any of these entities, you are unregulated. And if we go in depth, when we say unregulated, it don't mean that we just register your company and we just leave you up like that. No, it means that these companies that are registered with these entities, you have certain obligations. You have 1 is 30% income tax that you pay instead of the 25%. You have to furnish audited financial statements each year, and especially if you are registered with Jamaica Stock Exchange, these audited financial statements will have to be published in the local newspaper. So they have certain obligations that are really a bit different from unregulated. So that's basically the difference between regulated and unregulated.
All right, fantastic. So it's basically financial institutions versus the other companies then as they were. All right, fabulous. The questions are just pouring in and I'm kind of confused as to where to go next. But I'm going to take a question from Andre Miller. Are businesses that buy goods from farmers allowed to withhold tax on those goods since farmers wouldn't charge GCT? Are businesses that buy goods from farmers allowed to withhold tax on those goods since farmers wouldn't charge GCT?
All right, thanks for that question. When you purchase items from farmers, farming produce, if that's what you're referring to, those are GCT exempt. Therefore, the farmers will not charge you GCT and hence you don't have anything to withhold because farming produced are GCT exempt.
Come again.
All right, so let us go again. So if you are transacting business with a farmer and you are purchasing farming items or farming produce, those items are GCT exempt. So the farmer would not charge you GCT on those items, and therefore you would not need to withhold any amount from your sale or from the amount that you pay to the farmer, because GCT does not relate to farming produce.
All right, we're going to take a break on the questions for a minute so that I can find my bearings where the questions are concerned while Ms. Milwood continues with her presentation for a little bit, just to give you some more information as to what is required as it relates to filing come March 15th or before, on or before March 15th. So it's back over to you, Rogerlene.
All right, so we just quickly go through the presentation as well. So not to fear, we'll take all or if most of your questions. So just put them in the chat and then Ms. Campbell will deal with them accordingly. So we were at tax compliance and I think we actually touched on that in our questions. And tax compliance is basically the degree to which a taxpayer complies or even fails to comply with Jamaica's tax laws. And I made mention that we have various ways and means in getting persons in the tax net and also getting them to be tax compliant. So the whole process of applying for a tax compliance certificate is one way that we use to get persons to be tax compliant. We use various programs, education programs, such as seminars or one-on-one sessions. So we do that, and also you can always come in, sit with an education officer, even a compliance officer, and then we take it from there. So record keeping, as you know, we, or as I told you before, that because we are in a self-assessment tax system, it is very important for you to keep records, and it is stated in the Income Tax Act as well for you to maintain such records up to 6 years. Reason being, even though you are giving us your information through your financial statements or your income and expenditure statement, teacher would need to see where all of these informations are coming from, and hence we tell you that whether you're going to save it electronically or manually, you'd need to have these records intact. And also in English, because we're an English-speaking country. And the benefits of record keeping is it monitors the progress of your business. It assists in preparing your financial statements. It identifies your sources of income and also helps you to make better decisions where your business are concerned. And even also when most persons, when they're going to apply for a business loan, you know, these information assist you with your cash flow projections that the bank really do ask for. It keeps track of deductible expenses. And it also prepares your tax returns, which is very good for you and also for us. And it supports items reported on your tax returns. So what are your rights and obligations as a taxpayer? Honesty. So we say that you should be honest in your dealings with any departments of tax administration. And we say any department because we have the audit department, we have tax appeals department, and also we have the stamp duty and transfer tax department and the legal department as well. So there are different departments in tax administration. And we always ask you to give us correct and true information. You should file correct returns and documents and provide complete and accurate information within time limits specified. And the time limits specified we're talking about are the due dates that is stipulated by the Income Tax Act. You should pay your taxes on time. And some of you might be aware that we're not only limited for you to come in office and pay, you can pay using your online account, using a credit card or a Visa debit card. We have what we call a direct funds transfer, where you can transfer money from your bank account directly to TAJ's account. And we also have partnered with the National Commercial Bank, NCB now, where you set up TAJ, Tax Administration Jamaica, as a bill payee, and you can pay your taxes from your NCB online banking platform. And we spoke about record keeping, that you should keep sufficient records to enable your tax liability to be ascertained accurately. All right, and you should keep us informed. A lot of persons, I know that, yes, you change your business address, or even directors, company secretaries at company's office, but they don't know that they need to come into tax administration and get those information up to date. Yes, we do ask you, and for those who are average GCT registered business, it is stipulated in the GCT Act that you should keep us informed. So whenever there's a business name, change of business name, the address, telephone number, directors, company secretaries, yes, we need to be informed of that. All right, so the benefits of e-filing, and e-filing is electronic filing, and that's what, effective January 2020, that's last year, we made most of the filing mandatory to be done online. So for the individuals, the sole traders, the partners in the partnerships, and the directors, those are the limited companies, all three returns are mandatory to be done online. No. And we say the benefits of this is that you can file anytime, anywhere, 24/7. So even if you are not in the island and it is tax season now, if you're as far as in Timbuktu in Africa, anywhere you are in the world, we say that you can go on the website and do your filing anytime, anywhere. It saves time for you, so you don't need to come in and wait in the long lines, especially with COVID now and the amount of persons outside the door, you know, pushing in, nobody social distancing. You don't need to come in. The only time that we ask you to come in is, especially for the sole traders, is if you really need assistance and guidance. And yes, we have our programs now. We call it Special Taxpayer Assistance Program, where we invite you in, you come and use our computers. If you can't use a computer, we assist you in doing it, because we don't want no one to be left behind. For companies, we really encourage you to get your accountant to do that. However, if you know you can't really afford accountants, then you come in and we assist you as well. We don't want no one to be left behind, as I said before. It reduces your paperwork, one, and it also allows you to view your account summary. So you can always go back, you can amend your return, and you can always print it off, email it to yourself, whatever your purpose would be for that. And how do you register for electronic filing? It's simple, by going on the Jamaica Tax website. You create an online account, you wait for it to be approved by TJ, that is within 3 business days. And after, you get guidance on how to go on and register for the income tax account or whatever entity that you have. And then you get to do your filing right away. And that's basically it. So in summarizing, TAJ sees a need for potential and practicing entrepreneurs to know their tax responsibilities, rights and obligations, and we see that we cannot overemphasize on this. In a self-assessment tax system, the onus is on you, the taxpayer, to calculate, report, and pay your tax liability on time. So you are therefore encouraged, if you have not registered your business, to go to company's office, get your TRN for your business, comply with the tax laws and aim to remain tax compliant, keep proper records, and also to know your rights and obligations. And I guess we're in the questions segment. Yes.
All right, so thank you so much, so much, Rogerlene, for sharing with us this morning. I can tell you that Rogerlene is just a walking, talking tax dictionary book, encyclopedia, Google. I mean, any question that you can think of. I was actually amazed this morning when she came and said, no, I don't have a presentation. I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to share. Because the reality is that her ability to just roll the information out of her head, of her tongue, I don't know if it's because she's been doing it for, what, 20 years? 15 years. I mean, you would have learned so much over the 15-year period already. So thank you so much for coming and sharing with us this morning. Now, as you'd imagine, the questions continue to come in. So there's a pretty long one here that I want to read for you. It's from Ayoka Royal. My business was registered in 2016 and I earned less than the threshold. It's more of a hobby. I'm also a government employee and paid the required taxes for years. I guess she paid it through her employment. I intend to implement practices to grow the business from a hobby into a full-time business. But I believe I need to file nil before moving forward. So she's asking for your guidance. What must she do? Is your office open for one-on-one guidance? And she's indicating that she's a sole trader.
All right, beautiful. All right, yes, our offices are open now. We actually, from the King Street, that's the Kingston location or the downtown location, and we actually started our special assistant program from February. Some offices like Content Spring or the Portmore office or Spanish Town, they have started yesterday. So the assistant program goes up to March 15. So we can get, you find the time and you come in, and yes, we do assist you. So what we ask you to do is to take along your NIS, especially your TRN, your ID, and if you have any income information, you need to work with that as well. You made mention that you're also on payroll. Because the SO4, the income tax form, is a declaration of all sources of income form. We need to incorporate your salary information on that form. And no, we won't tax it twice. However, we would have to declare that information on the form. So we do ask that you ask your employer for a P24 form, or if you know that your pay slips carry year-to-date figures, then your December pay slip would suffice. So if you're coming in and you say, okay, I want to do from 2020, you don't have your P24, you can take along your December pay slip that have your year-to-date figures, and we can get it done same time, same day. Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you, Rogerlene. Where on the TAJ portal do I find the SO4A/A form? That's a form, right? Yes. So someone wants to know where on the portal can they find that form?
Beautiful. So the form can always be found on the forms from the website. Is a sub-tab heading. You see forms, and when you click on forms, you go to self-employed and the forms are there. However, that is not the form that we ask you to complete because that is a manual form. So when we say that you create an online account and you do your tax returns from your online account, it means that you click on login, that tab, scroll on and you click on create account. You create your account first, wait for TAJ to approve it, or if you come in office, we approve it same time. And then know when you have access to your portal, you go on your portal, you register for the income tax account, and you get the SO4 to file from your income tax account. So yes, you can go on, you can get yourself familiarized with the SO4A form. However, that is not the filing that we want because that would allow you to print the form, complete it, and take it in office, but we don't accept manual forms anymore. You'd have to create your online account and do the submission from your portal.
All right, question from Trezana. Trezana, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back. For persons who made projected payments last year, how does that affect the payments for this year?
Wonderful. I think I hope I get the name correctly. Trevana. I love when persons say they do their, they do their projected payments from last year, because what it does, how it benefits you is that when you're doing your final filing or your actual filing for 2020 now, if your income remains the same as your projected income for last year, then those amounts that you'd have paid would have gone on your return now as a credit. Hence, you have nothing more to pay for 2020, and you just pick up on your payment for 2021. So the quarters are March 15, June 15, September 15, December 15, as you would have known. So you would just pick up on your 2021 payments beginning March 15. The only time that you'd have a balance to pay on 2020 is when you have declared a higher income than what you would have projected. So that's why record keeping is so important, and for you to report a true and correct income.
Question from me. I wrote this down because I'm one of those people that like to do things kind of previous, as it were. So is there an option to file your taxes monthly or quarterly instead of waiting for the annual returns, or is it that you have to do the annual returns regardless of whether you do the monthly or quarterly?
Thank you so much for that question, Ms. Campbell. So as the name suggests, annual. So yes, you'd have to wait at the end of the year to do your reporting from January to December of that particular year. So it is done one time for the year. However, payments for current year are done quarterly. So we break them down in quarters, and there are 4 quarters for the year: March 15, June 15, September 15, and December 15. However, some persons choose to make their payments monthly. So any amount that the system calculates for you to pay quarterly, you just divide the amounts by 3 and you make your payments monthly. Some persons even choose to pay everything all at once. We say, yay, for those persons. But if you know that it's more affordable to do your payments monthly, then go ahead and do that. Not a problem. Okay.
All right, so Roxanne is asking, what is the fee for late filing of business taxes, and are there classes that small business owners can attend to get more information on refiling of taxes?
All right, thank you, Roxanne, for that question. So I'll attack the latter part of your question first. Yes, we give one-on-one sessions for small businesses to file their taxes. And I tell you, as I said before, that we have a special taxpayer assistant program going on now, that if you can come in, you can call us, because we have some officers working from home. So yes, you can be guided on how to do your filing, as well as you can schedule, because when you go on your online account, there is a tab that says schedule advisory visit. When you complete it and submit it to us, we, the education officers, we make contact with you. Either you want us to come to your business place, or we invite you in and we do one-on-one sessions with you. So yes, we offer supports like that. All right, as it relates to the first part of your question, I'll leave the bad one for last. Yes, there are penalties for late filing, and it's not just for self-employed persons, but also for companies and for partnerships. So the 3 tax returns that these 3 entities are required to file, that is the SO4, the ITO3, and the ITO2, they are all due on or before March 15. Once these are filed late, the penalty is $5,000 per month from the due date up until the month that you file the tax form. So for example, you said, okay, I never remember a thing in March to file. And when you remember it was in June, your penalty is $5,000 for March, $5,000 for April, $5,000 for May, $5,000 for June. That's for 4 months late, and that would be $20,000. And should we have a follow-up question to this one? Yes, the penalty is there. What if I cannot afford to pay? We say do not sit and just make it interest accumulate on the system like that. Reach out to us. We have a compliance department. You either can come and make arrangements to pay, or we give you the option that you can write and request a waiver, and you send in that waiver. However, the drawback to the waiver is that it's not a guarantee that you will get a waiver 100% waived, but we say it is still an option. Write your letter. Don't stress yourself if you don't have these late fees to pay. Do not stress yourself. Write your waiver letter and wait for your response.
All right. So Subar is asking if the minimum business tax still applies, and I know you answered no to that already. All right, so Jody wants to know, can you explain the benefit in kind on the P24 form? You understand that one? All right.
All right, thank you, Jody, for that. So the benefit for you, the individual, or even for me, is that, remember that it's humans doing our payroll. Like myself and like any other person, we are prone to errors, and they can overtax us at any time within the year. So when the employer gives you that P24 at the end of the year, you can do your own calculations to see if you were overtaxed, and hence you can apply for an income tax refund. If it's a case where you don't know how to do your calculations, you can either call us, call our customer care center, or you come into us and we can do the calculations for you. So that's basically the benefit. And also, when you are working and you have additional income to declare on your self-employed form, we need a P24 for you to declare that source of income as well.
All right, so a number of questions are coming in as it relates to being able to file your returns online, and persons are saying, you know, they sign up, but they don't say where to file the returns, or they sign up, but they don't get a response. A suggestion here for TAJ could be to automate the response in terms of once somebody signs up, you have a system where it just automatically approves them. And then if there are any challenges once they have made their filing, then somebody can make contact with them after that. But especially in the period of now, where we're trying to reduce the number of people showing up at the offices, because persons are actually still asking questions here about when they can come in to be a part of the special assistance program or to come in and learn how to file. Another suggestion is tutorials, short tutorial videos on the site so that, you know, persons can see how it's done. All right, so Tanisha Dillon, I am going to unmute you and you go ahead with your question. All right,
Thank
Tanisha
you.
is
I'm kind of
ready.
hoarse. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me clearly. But all right. So I
Hear you
have
clearly, Tanisha.
like persons that in the comment section, in the chat section, I have a login for the website, right? Do we go to forms and then go to online registration and fill out that form and take it to the office for it to get approved? That is where our challenge is, because yes, we create an account on the portal, but where do we go to file? Because there is an option about e-services, but then when we go there, we don't know what to do, especially for us small and newly registered business owners that want to file before the 15th.
All right, thank you, Tanisha. All right, so yes, these are some of the challenges that I know a lot of persons have been experiencing. And just to backtrack on what Ms. Campbell said, so the recommendation that was done, yes, I think they're working on that. The tutorial especially, or a demo video, they're working on that. I'm not sure if it will be out by March 15. So we just have to try and see how best we can get persons to file. So the challenge is that it's not so user-friendly. Yes, I understand that, I know, and it is difficult to navigate, as Ms. Barnes just posted in the chat. So when you go to log in and you already signed up for your online account and it was already approved, then you click, the first thing that you do when you log in is you go to manage my Eservices account to enter in your portal. And if it's the first time that you're doing this, when you go on your portal, what you see is you see your name over to the left of your screen, you see your telephone and your email address, you see account alerts, and then you see a column that says I want to. So if it's the very first time that you're doing an income tax return, the first thing that you need to do is register for the income tax account to do the form. So that's that tab on the website that has forms, no, we don't go to forms any at all. We just got to log in. We type in your, put in your username, password, and enter in your portal and register for the income tax account. What I can do is, because what I do, tell some persons as well, when you're in your portal and you don't know what to do, there is a tab that says send us a message. When you send us a message, I personally, when I don't get those messages, what I'll do is I'll do a list of how you can register for the account and complete the form. So I'm not sure if what we can do after this session is maybe you could give Miss Campbell your email, and then she could email it to me, and then I could email the information. So not to stall up the process, because I really would want these persons to file before March 15. Yes, we give out numbers, but I'm telling you, as we speak now, I can tell you my phone is ringing non-stop. And sometimes it's really hard to answer all the calls because we are also in office and there are a lot of persons coming in as well. Because as you know, yeah, you might be tech savvy, but a lot of persons out there, they're not tech savvy. They don't have a device, so they have to come in and use our computers there. So if I can get the email address for some persons who really want me to carry through step by step on how to register for the account, then I would, if I get that by this evening, I can send out the emails to you. I'm hoping that helps. Miss Dillon.
All right, so what I will do, I am going to get this step-by-step information from you, and I can because all these persons that you see in the meeting room right now are all registered on the Zoom portal for this session. So we have the email addresses. So what we will do is to get the step-by-step and forward it to them. Horace, if you need an accountant, you're gonna have to employ someone because I don't think the tax administration provides that support at all. This has been one of the most informative sessions that we have had in the virtual biz zone, I believe. And I don't think that we have had the opportunity to cover all the areas that we would have wanted to cover. And we did not have the opportunity to touch on all the topics that we would have wanted to touch. Horace, you said you needed an accountant. Crystal just said that she's one. So just double click on Crystal and send her a message and you can make that link right there. That is the great thing about the sessions like these. There are also networking opportunities where persons can link up with each other. Ms. Milwood, can I get that presentation to send out to the group here? Oh, it's the same one from the last time. All right. So, all right. Maybe there were persons that missed the first session, so I will resend it again. For all the persons that asked as well, the recording will definitely be available on the JBDC YouTube channel at jbdcjamaica.com. No, at JBDC Jamaica. That is our channel on YouTube at JBDC Jamaica. So if you go ahead and subscribe to the channel, you will be notified once the video is uploaded. And I also want to let you know that all the sessions that we have done so far, which would have been sessions from all the way back in March 2020, you can go on and possibly just binge watch what we have been up to in terms of sharing information with you and ensuring that you are ready to operate in this new normal. So now that we have provided you with the information as it relates to how to file, go forth and file. All right, contact the Tax Administration Jamaica. If Rogerlene could just put back up the contact page for TAJ. There are several telephone numbers, email addresses, and so on. It is how we have to communicate these days, in particular because of what is happening with COVID and so on. The JBDC offices, like the tax administration offices, remain open. Unlike tax administration, though, where you can just walk in, we recommend that you give us a call, 876-928-51615, to just make an appointment just before you come in so that we can manage the audience that comes in so that we can protect our staff and protect you as well. Our online portals, though, are 24/7. Email us at info@jbdc.net. You can log on to our website, www.jbdc.net, and you'll be able to access all the information that we have. You will also be able, as I said, on our YouTube channel to access all the presentations that we have done so far. We will send out this information via email to you today. That is the presentation that was done here this morning, and the recording will be available sometime later on, not today, but sometime later on this week. So we want to thank you once again for joining us this morning in the virtual biz zone. We want to thank Ms. Milwood again for sharing with us second time around, and the second time she has done a fantastic job. What we will try to do is maybe at those quarterly intervals, we invite you back just to, refresh the memory of the audience as to how it is to get get themselves tax compliant and to get their filing done. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining, as I said, and have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye. All right, just a reminder that the email will come to you this afternoon as it relates to the steps to take to sign up online on TAJ. So that will come from JBDC. We'll send it through to you. All right, thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.